Mogul Harvey Weinstein goes on trial for rape charges next week in Manhattan, and his lawyer will need to keep an eye out for jurors who want to use the case to make a statement about sexual abuse following the rise of the Me Too movement. For more on this, we're joined now by criminal defense lawyer Ari Goldkind. Ari, thanks for your time. This is a massive one. We've been talking about this for months, maybe a year now even. So what do you expect to happen on Monday?
Jury selection starts Monday morning. The trial proper starts. So everything you've heard about Me Too and Weinstein and all the hate and vitriol coming his way, the 80 accusers, the trial with 2 accusers, not 80, 2, starts Monday. And the jury selection process, because we often talk about juries here, down the street, takes 7 days, 8 days to make decisions. They're anonymous in Canada. Here, no anonymity in the state. So these people know they're in the trial of the century. They know the world is watching, and there'll be about a week or two of the lawyers trying to figure out, are you coming into the courtroom not only with a preconceived idea of Me Too, which so many people do on either side, but have you actually come to a conclusion about Harvey Weinstein? Because if you look at the way he's being published, publicized, framed, photographed, it's like it's an ogre that must be guilty. His defense team will be very worried about that.
So how long will this take? Is there a timeline?
Sure. To pick the jury in the States, because it's done through more questionnaires, it's much more back and forth than in Canada. The jury selection process here, people would be surprised, doesn't take long at all usually. Even in a high-profile case, I would expect the jury to be picked within a couple weeks, starting on Monday, maybe less. Then we get into the trial proper. And when people hear Weinstein, the trial, they think there'll be 80 accusers, and he's charged with 80 crimes. 2. And they're very interesting circumstances.
So let's talk about that, because will the judge look at the fact that there are so many accusers that are well documented, like in Ronan Farrow's book, or can the judge and jury only look at those 2 cases? So
it's a great question. So here's, for people who don't know what's going to happen in New York starting Monday, here's how it plays out. People will remember Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby had one accuser, a Toronto lady, and he was convicted. But what got him convicted? The fact that the judge there allowed many other women to come to court, even though he wasn't charged with them, to show prior bad acts or a pattern, and in Weinstein's case, a pattern of predatory sex assault. So there'll be 2 named individuals. One is anonymous today, one is not, his former production assistant. Those are the charges that he faces. But there are 4 other women that the judge has allowed to testify to Mr. Weinstein's MO. One is a lady, if you've watched The Sopranos, she had a big role on The Sopranos, 3 others we don't know yet. There to testify to essentially say, you don't just need to listen to the 2, but listen to us as well. And as anybody listening this can imagine, that will make it much easier for the prosecution to get a conviction. But I still maintain that this is a very tough case to get a conviction on. And if they get 12 impartial jurors, we'll be back here in a couple months talking about a decision that upsets many people.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to ask you if this is going to be precedent setting, but it sounds like Bill Cosby might be precedent setting for this one, at least in the case of how you hear evidence and from whom.
Well, I think it will be precedent setting in the sense that once again, if crimes are charged, other judges will allow other women, non-indicted charges. Remember, he's not charged with 4 of the people there. But for the Me Too movement as a precedent, the bottom line to me, and I put my defense lawyer hat right back on here, we're living in a society where the courtroom really doesn't matter anymore. There's nobody listening to this that will say, even if Weinstein's acquitted, he can go back on the courtroom steps, get back to his life, have the public go, oh my goodness, we didn't prove it, sort of like Ghomeshi. So we're now in that world where the courtroom of public opinion actually has more effect, likely, than the actual courtroom that lawyers, juries, and judges work in.
We'll say what the courtroom and the courtroom of public opinion says on Monday.